This is Domain 11, Risk Assessment of the Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification, or CMMC. First, we'll go over the objective of the whole domain, and then each practice and its objective, levels and practices, and a knowledge check. So our domain objective. Cybersecurity risk is defined as risk to organizational operations, resources, and other organizations due to the potential for unauthorized access, use, disclosure, disruption, modification, or destruction of information or information technology. Cybersecurity risk cannot be completely eliminated, but it can be managed through informed decision-making processes. The totality of the CMMC practices serve to manage risk. Practices captured here include specific risk mitigation-focused practices, such as risk identification and planning. So these are our 3 practices for the risk assessment domain, Domain 11. They are all at CMMC level 2, and we'll go through each of those. So the CMMC risk assessment, or RA, domain practices support the process of effectively identifying and evaluating or ranking the risks that your business faces. This includes risk assessment and vulnerability assessment processes within your environment, as well as vendor or third-party or supply chain risks. As risk can come from anywhere, but the more connections you have, obviously that opens more doors for more threats. It covers risks to operations as well as data and other assets stemming from threats like unauthorized access, exfiltration, modification, or destruction. So our 3 level 2 practices. First, of course, we have risk assessments. And our practice description: periodically assess the risk to organizational operations, including your mission, functions, image, reputation, organizational assets, and individuals, resulting from the operation of organizational systems and the associated processing, storage, or transmission of controlled unclassified information. So as an assessor, you would determine if the frequency to assess risk to organizational operations, organizational assets, and individuals is defined. You'd most likely be doing it on a periodic basis, like annually. Risk to organizational operations, organizational assets, and individuals resulting from the operation of an organizational system that processes, stores, or transmits CUI is assessed with the defined frequency. So you've defined what frequency you're going to do risk assessments at, and the organization is actually following that schedule. Next, we have vulnerability scan. So our practice description: scan for vulnerabilities in organizational systems and applications periodically, and when new vulnerabilities affecting those systems and applications are identified. You'd also want to do it when any changes to the infrastructure occur. So as the assessor, you're going to determine if the frequency to scan for vulnerabilities in organizational systems and applications is defined. Vulnerability scans are performed on organizational systems with that defined frequency. Vulnerability scans are performed on applications with that defined frequency. The vulnerability scans are performed on organizational systems when new vulnerabilities are identified. And vulnerability scans are performed on applications when, again, new vulnerabilities are identified. Vulnerability remediation. So pretty straightforward: remediate vulnerabilities in accordance with risk assessments. So as an assessor, you would determine if vulnerabilities are identified and if vulnerabilities are remediated in accordance with risk assessments. Now we'll have our knowledge check. So question 1. Describe CMMC practice identifier risk assessments, which can be found at RA for risk assessment .L2 level 2 -3.11.1. And our answer for question 1 is A. Periodically assess the risk to organizational operations, including missions, functions, image or reputation, organizational assets, and individuals, resulting from the operation of organizational systems and the associated processing, storage, or transmission of controlled unclassified information. Question 2. Describe CMMC practice identifier vulnerability scan, which can be found at RA.L2-3.11.2. And our answer for question 2 is C. Scan for vulnerabilities in organizational systems and applications periodically, and when new vulnerabilities affecting those systems and applications are identified. Question 3. Select the practice identifier associated with this CMMC practice. Remediate vulnerabilities in accordance with risk assessments. And our answer for question 3 is B, vulnerability remediation, which can be found at RA.L2-3.11.3. Question 4. Select the practice identifier associated with this CMMC practice. Periodically assess the risk to organizational operations, including mission, functions, image or reputation, organizational assets, and individuals, resulting from the operation of organizational systems and the associated processing, storage, or transmission of controlled unclassified information. And of course, our answer for question 4 is B, risk assessments. And question 5, describe CMMC practice identifier vulnerability remediation. And our answer for question 5 is C, remediate vulnerabilities in accordance with risk assessments. Thank you.